Hey everyone, Austin back again with yet another long play video. And for all of you guys over there on implantgames.com, welcome to another episode of Let's Beat. And this time we're going to be running through Raiden, or as it's properly pronounced, Raiden for the Atari Jaguar. I'll be pronouncing it as Raiden though, just because that's kind of what I'm familiar with. Raiden was an interesting port of the popular arcade game to the Atari Jaguar. And, yeah, I think it's one that maybe not a lot of people have tried aside from, Jaguar fans or people that just happen to have a Jaguar, which probably isn't that many. It is actually a really good version of Raiden, and it's got some quirks that I'm going to talk about as we go through this video, but I think it's one of the better console versions of Raiden available, actually probably one of the best. Outside of, say, the PlayStation version and maybe the PC Engine Super CD-ROM version. I believe it was Super CD-ROM version over in Japan. But yeah, it's a great port, and but it's definitely not arcade perfect. But it does have a lot of its own quirks, and like I said, I'll go into those as the video goes on. One reason I actually have this long play is because I was playing in the Atari Jaguar High Score Club over at AtariAge.com. I actually run the High Score Club over there. And I was trying to play pretty seriously in this game, and like I always do, because Raiden's one of my favorite games to play for score on the Jaguar. And so while I was getting my score for the High Score Club, I also just recorded my footage at the same time. And actually, a few days prior to this, or about a week prior, I think, I actually had already made a submission. I already recorded footage. I got about 3 million-ish points, which is, I got about halfway through the second loop, and then I died and game over completely. But I was like, all right, I think I can do better. I was really just kind of discouraged after last week because I spent actually a few hours that one night trying to just, better myself, not die at stupid parts like level 2 or level 3, things like that. And I was really just kind of burnt out on this game. But the round for Raiden on the High Score Club was basically going to end last night, and I was like, I might as well just give it one more shot. And I did. I spent a little bit of time with it. I think I did like 3 or 4 really poor runs just prior to doing this exact run that you're watching right now. But this run just came out, for at least the first loop, it came out very well. It actually came out the best that I think I have ever had in Raiden for the Jaguar, or any version of Raiden, period, but I'm not going to compare it to other versions in that regard, because some of the other ones are more difficult. But I ended up beating this loop without dying, and I say loop because when you finish the game, it actually restarts you from the very beginning with your same score, and everything is faster. So, but yeah, I finished the game without dying, and I do use some bombs here and there just to play safety, and in this version of Raiden, I think that's actually very important, and actually probably any version of Raiden now that I think about it. This game for me is, in order to get the points, it's about survival. There's some really tricky areas in the game, and if you just don't survive, you're going to lose a lot of extra bonus points that you could be getting at the end of each stage. And bonus points are actually really important in this game because you get a lot of bonus points if you do it just right. And I'll kind of explain how that works as this guy goes down in just a few moments. So, you've got bombs in this game, but you also pick up these medals on the playfield. And at the end of each stage, what happens is your bombs, you get a certain amount of points for those, and then you get a certain amount of points for your medals. And then they're multiplied together. The number of medals you got is multiplied by the amount of bombs you got. And so it's going to be 11,000 times 4,000. And I got 44,000 bonus points. Now what happens is, as you go throughout the game and you don't use your bombs, you're going to eventually have 6, 7, 8 bombs in your stock. And there are going to be stages where you're going to have 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, sometimes 20 medals. So you have the potential to get an extra 100,000 plus points at the end of each stage. So when you actually complete the game, you get a 1 million point bonus, and which is a lot of points. It's enough to get actually about 2 extra lives. So when you start your fresh loop, you won't be as hurting for lives, which is nice. And but if you can play the game right, on top of just destroying all the enemies and stuff, you can have upwards of close to 50 to 100,000 points extra per level that you won't get normally for just attacking enemies. So if you're playing for score in this game, that's really important. So, but score is important when you're playing in something like the Atari Jaguar High Score Club, but at the same time, in order to keep getting that score, you want to also survive. And it's dodging in the Jaguar version is a little bit trickier than other versions of Raiden. It's not as, I don't want to say not as responsive, but there's this little bit of inertia every time you move to the left and right. There's like, it's like as your ship turns over to the side, it takes a minute before it actually kicks up to full speed. It's really strange and it's really difficult to get used to. It gives the game a very laggy feeling. And so that makes dodging actually very difficult in this game. There's actually some bosses in this game are actually more difficult in the Jaguar version than the actual arcade game, just because dodging is almost nerfed for one. But two, also some of their bullet patterns are a little bit trickier as well. So, play for survival. If you have to use a bomb at some point, use it. And you'll see me using bombs at very specific sections. Like, I believe I might use one on the Stage 5 boss because he can give me trouble sometimes. And what I'll do is I'll get him down to where he's blinking, and that's where he's at his hardest form, at least for me. And I'll drop a bomb on him, get right up on him with my fully powered spread shot, and just wail on him, and then he'll be gone. So, likewise, the Stage 6 boss, when you first get to the, I guess it's the moon or something like that. It's the first space stage, and it's these two like objects with heads on them, and they could be a pain in the ass because in this version there are asteroids flying at you from all sides, and that doesn't happen in the arcade game. And so what I do is I drop a bomb on them because I tend to always get hit by the asteroids or the meteors or whatever you want to call them flying in. So, I drop a bomb just so I could survive and keep my bonus points. So, and my power, that's the biggest thing, is you want to keep your firepower in this game if you plan on surviving past Stage 7. And I'll get into that as we go along. Keeping your firepower is very, very important in this game. If you die on between stages 1 through 5, and 6 actually, it's possible to get your firepower back up. So if you die, don't get discouraged. Just focus on working your firepower back up. And what I mean by focus on getting it back up is pick a weapon that you feel is best for you. Don't keep bouncing back and forth between the laser and the spread shot, because that's just wasting your potential upgrades you could be having. There we go, 100,000 points bonus. But you really want to have max firepower for level 7. If you don't have max firepower on level 7, you're basically screwed. You should probably just put the controller down when you get there. It's really a brutal stage if you have no firepower. So, but yeah, like I normally do in these long plays, I'm just going to be kind of rambling on for, at least the first loop. I unfortunately do not finish the second loop because I make some really stupid mistakes and I die early on in the second loop. Most notably, the second boss, when I destroyed the second boss, as he's exploding, I thought that, I was immune to him at that point, because in a lot of games when you destroy a boss, when you run through them, you don't get hurt. It's just, that's how a lot of these games work. And, nope, that's not the case for this apparently, because I ran straight into him. It looked like he was basically in the middle of his explosion, and I died, losing all my firepower, and I had to start stage 3, which is kind of tricky with no firepower, right from the start with nothing. So I had to build myself up, and then when I got to the stage 3 boss, I believe I died again. I should have used my bombs to just play safe and survive and build my powers, but I didn't. I died. And I had to start stage 4 again with no power-ups. And you could probably see where this is going. So, I did eventually manage to get my firepower back up, but I ended up dying again at another one of the stages, and I ended up dying multiple times. I'm pretty sure on stage 7 I ended up dying a few times. And then by the time I got to the final stage, I had 2 lives left, or actually technically 1 life left, because in this, your lives, they don't go to 0 in this game. When it says you have 1 ship left, you're actually on your last ship. So, you know, don't get misled by that. When you have 1 ship left, when you die, it's game over. So, be careful about that. One thing you might have noticed, I don't even know if this has anything to do with what I was just saying, but one thing you might notice is that I selected 8 credits mode when I first booted up the game. And the Jaguar version of Raiden gives you either 2 credits, 5 credits, or 8 credits. And for this playthrough, it's actually kind of a moot point, but, ooh, I should have almost died there. I remember that when that happened, I was actually just kind of like shaking in my boots at that point, because I was like, oh, shit, I should have died there. But yeah, you know, you get 2, 5, or 8 credits in this game. I actually picked the 8 credits mode just to show on the high score club that I didn't say pick 5 credits and play through 4 or something like that, pretending like I was playing 2 credits mode. Because in the high score club, it's, you know, you play till you game over, no continues, and don't continue. It's very easy to accidentally continue in the Jaguar version of Raiden, because if you keep mashing the button when you get a game over, you know, in Raiden, like, the screen will shift to the center before the actual continue screen comes up. But what happens is, if you're mashing the B button or the fire button, the continue screen won't even come up. It'll just continue automatically. Like, there might be some lag or something like that for the continue screen. Like, it actually recognizes the command before the continue screen actually comes up. So, you can accidentally continue in this game if you just keep mashing the fire button, and you won't even have realized that you continued, because the continue screen doesn't come up. So, but I picked the 8 credits mode, so when I got a game over, people in the high score club could tell that, you know, I only used the 1 stock credit to start the game. So you get 8 credits, it uses 1 credit when you start, so with 7 credits being there, it shows that I did not continue and try to up my score. When you continue in the Jaguar version of Raiden, your score doesn't deplete, it stays where it's at. So you could select theoretically 8 credits mode and try to get as far as you can, and yeah, you can get some ridiculous score. My highest score in Raiden was actually 4,700,000 or 600,000, something like that. But that was on 2 credits mode, so I actually got to use a continue, and that was for the high score club in 2010 on Atari Age. And so in this playthrough, without continuing, I got about 3,300,000 points, just a tiny bit higher than my my playthrough from last week. Now, while my score wasn't that much higher, I did so much better on the first run. Again, I got lots of bonus points on each stage. I finished the entire loop without dying, which is a first for me. I don't think I've done that before. In terms of the Jaguar Raiden. I've probably done it on the Super Nintendo version, but that game was so nerfed as it was, it doesn't even mean anything. That was such a bad version of Raiden. A bad version I ironically want to try out again. Because it hasn't been since, like, probably the 90s since I played that game, which is a long time ago at this point. But I just recall it being a very terrible port, so... The Jaguar version is actually pretty cool, and I'd like to comment on that for a little bit, actually, because I've just mainly been talking about tricks and so forth up to this point. But the Jaguar version of Raiden, it's fairly faithful. It's actually very faithful to the arcade game in terms of enemy layout. After doing this session last night, I actually busted out the Raiden project on the PlayStation. And to me, the Raiden project it seems like a perfect arcade conversion, because I played the arcade version in MAME quite a bit in the past as well, and it just basically seems like the exact same thing to me. People on the Shmups forums, they say that there's some differences, but I haven't really read into what those are. It doesn't really feel much different to me. I'm sure there's some quirks that they can notice, but not me. I don't really notice anything. What I'm probably gonna do is actually go on that website, search the forums, and see what the exact differences are. But you know, comparing this version to that version, the enemy layout is very, very similar, if not identical, and that's really cool that the Jaguar version managed to get the, well, from what I feel, the true to arcade layout. What you'll notice is on the right-hand side of the screen, there's this big bar, and a lot of people complain about that in this game, but I think it's actually a great addition. For one, I think it looks kind of cool, and two, you can actually, because it scrunches the screen into a more vertical style manner, just like the arcade game. However, one thing I noticed is that despite, you know, it being a vertical playfield now where it's taller than it is wide, the objects weren't shrunk down, you know, for that change. So what's actually kind of interesting is that the screen actually scrolls farther over to the left and right than it does in the arcade game. And what this means is that you can actually end up covering a lot of enemies with the right hand or the left hand side of the screen, depending on, you know, how far over you are. And this is actually really beneficial to surviving in this game. And you'll see when I get to the final boss, you can actually push the screen over so far that the final boss is outside of the screen and he can't shoot at you. So you can basically just, you know, play at your own leisure on certain boss fights. And so that is a tactic that you really want to get used to. And combined with how there's like this ship inertia when you're moving, I think it's actually very, very helpful that that bar is there. And people might not like it. People might say, hey, why isn't it just full screen? Well, the game would be a hell of a lot more difficult if it was full screen. And a lot of people find this game to be difficult enough as it is. So, you know, be thankful that that bar is on the side of the screen. So, aside from that, though, I mean, the graphics are fairly faithful as well. There are quite a few details missing from the arcade version, but there's a lot of details still there, and it's still, I think, you know, despite it looking like, I don't know, a glorious Super Nintendo game, or glorified Super Nintendo game, it's, you know, it shows what the Jaguar is capable of from a standpoint, because there's no slowdown in this game. There's lots of stuff coming down at you at all times. Every time you blow up enemies, you know, there's the craters beneath them. So the Jaguar, it feels like the Jaguar is doing a lot for this game, and it's doing it all without slowing down, without chugging, which is great. And the backgrounds, they look smooth and relatively colorful at points, and you know, the game just looks very well put together. I mean, you got to think about it, or you've got to consider that this game came out in 1993. So, what was the competition in 1993? As far as shmups, well, there wasn't a ton of competition. I mean, you had the Super Nintendo and the Genesis stuff, and that was basically it. And this game is pretty impressive when you think about it for the time it came out. And even though it's not arcade perfect in terms of movement and feel and some graphical stylings, it's still pretty damn close, actually, despite some of its quirks. And, you know, it looks great for 1993. So this game is 19 years old as I'm recording this. So this specific version. So all in all, I think Raiden for the Jaguar it's a great port that does take a little bit of time to get used to because of that ship inertia. It's not, you know, your ship doesn't move as quickly and as accurately. The response isn't as great as it is in the arcade game. What I'd like to eventually do is maybe do a side-by-side comparison of a bunch of the versions of Raiden out there that I can get my hands on. I've actually just got the PC version on its way. It should be in the mail either today or tomorrow, hopefully. And what's interesting is that it was actually developed by the same people, or some of the same people, in Imagitech Designs, or Imagitech Designs. Now, Imagitech, they did a few Jaguar games. I don't really know if they did anything on other consoles, but they did a few Jaguar games. I think they were in bed with Atari, basically. Which, thankfully, that was the case, because the Jaguar didn't have a ton of great developers, and Imagitech actually did some cool stuff for the Jaguar. For instance, they basically worked on Raiden for the Jaguar, but they also did the soundtrack for Tempest 2000. The guys at Imagitech, you know, they knew what they were doing in regards to the Jaguar sound hardware, so, and they really showed that off with Tempest 2000. There's some other stuff they did too. I don't know if they did iWar or... I don't know. I'm not even going to say it because I'm probably going to give out false information. But, yeah, very, it was cool that Atari had them, because they definitely helped out with this game and some other stuff. But they did the PC version as well. And I would definitely like to show off the PC version in the future, because it's actually... I'm pretty sure it's based on this version. A lot of the sprites are the exact same. A lot of the backgrounds look the same. The soundtrack is CD audio now. It's they completely revamped the soundtrack, and it's the same tracks from this game. It's the same structure and everything like that. And you might say, well, yeah, that's, you know, Raiden, okay, the music's the same, whatever. But one thing I forgot to mention is that the Jaguar version of Raiden, they added some new tunes. Most notably, there's the Stage 3 tune has changed. The original Stage 3 tune is now the Stage 2 tune, and the original Stage 2 tune from the arcade is now, I believe, the Stage 4 tune, which the original Stage 4 tune was just a repeat of the first level theme, the awesome first level theme. So you got a new tune in Stage 3, and then on Stage 7, my least favorite stage in the whole goddamn game, that's a brand new tune too. So you got some new music in there, and this theme right there, that title screen theme, I believe was also brand new. So I think so. Anyways, yeah. So the PC version has those same new tunes and the same old ones too, but they're all remixed, remade, complete CD quality. You can even play the music in your CD player, which is great. So what I hope to do is either do a side-by-side comparison video, or just do like a casual talk and play of the PC version of Raiden, or maybe I'll do a long play so you guys can see the whole thing, hear the soundtrack. It's actually lacking in parts, the PC version. It's basically got no sound effects. It's the sound effects, I think it's just like ad-lib style, or it uses the ad-lib, and I think that's it. And the sound effects are so unpronounced that it just, you can't even barely hear them. It's so terrible in that regard. But the soundtrack makes up for it a lot. The soundtrack is great, and I really look forward to getting that package again, because I haven't heard it since probably the 90s when I last had it. But the game itself actually isn't quite as good as the Jaguar version. There's a lot of background scrolling that's missing from the PC version. Everything is just completely flat. Whereas like in this version, in Stage 2, you've got like the broken highway is scrolling faster than the ground below it, which is awesome. I've always liked that effect in the Raiden games, and the Jaguar pulls it off very well. The PC version, nope, it's all completely flat, very rigid and boring. But the gameplay is, it feels like the Jaguar version now. I believe all your weapons act the same. Your sprite shot is still ridiculously powered compared to the arcade game, and yeah, so I'll probably be able to show that game off in the near future, and we'll see how I decide to do it, whether it's a comparison video or if it's a just a casual talk and play review, or if it's an actual long play like this where I finish the game. I think a long play might actually be the way to go for that one, because I don't think a lot of people have actually played or even heard of the PC version of Raiden. It was an old, back in the DOS days, right before, you know, Windows hit it big, and and if I remember correctly, it was also kind of tricky to get working sometimes, so we'll see how DOSBox handles that. So what I haven't done in this video is tell you exactly how I play this game, and the biggest thing I like to recommend is hug the wall hug the walls on very specific stages, most notably this stage, stage 6. Notice I haven't gone off the right-hand side of the screen. Well, I'm using that long, wide playfield transition to my advantage. Basically, half the playfield doesn't come onto the screen and can't shoot me. And this is the boss where I basically just drop a bomb because asteroids come in from all sides in a very unpredictable manner, which doesn't happen in the arcade game. But use the wide scrolling of the playfield to your advantage in this game, because anything that's outside of your vision can't shoot at you, and it won't shoot at you. And it's the same thing for your bullets too. Your bullets, they don't go outside of they don't go outside of your point of view. So, you know, if you're, say, shooting the spread shot and you're moving to the right, the bullets that are going off on the left-hand side of the screen, they're disappearing right away. They're not continuing to go and hit whatever is out there past your field of vision. So, but this is the same thing for enemies too. And so if you can get, say, a boss or a really big enemy and you're not powered up or something, you can get them on that other side of the screen where you can't see. They can't shoot at you. So take advantage of that. And very specific levels are also a little bit easier if you play them a very certain way. Like this stage, stage 7, because of these dudes that come from all sides of the screen, sit at the bottom of the screen, and you really have to be almost fully powered. If you're not fully powered, this stage is, even in the arcade version, this stage is just brutal. And the Japanese arcade version especially, because there's a start back mode. Oh man. But yeah, this is in this stage you want to stay at the very bottom of the screen at all times, because these guys can come from the sides of the screens as low as to just right above your ship. So you really don't want to be moving all over the place in this level. And what I try to do is try to stay towards one side of the screen. So what you'll see me do is staying more towards the middle left-hand side of the screen. That way, a lot of the stuff on the right-hand side can't shoot at me. So when you die in this game, if you want to focus on just surviving, absolutely hug the sides of the screens on basically any level. Well, except level 1. If you die at level 1, you just want to turn off the system and start over again, because no point in wasting a life for that. But yeah, I mean, if you die on like stage 3 is a big one, because there's a lot of times you've got two sides of the screen. Both sides can have tanks, but the middle is usually just water. Lots of boats come in through the water, things like that. And so what I do is I just sit on one side of the screen, usually the right hand side. Is what I'm more comfortable with, and I just blast away the tanks that come in, maybe the occasional turret, while I gather the power-ups to get, you know, back up to snuff with my weapons. So having maxed out weapons in this game is really important to getting big points and to surviving easier. And that's the thing, is surviving much easier. If you have very little firepower, this game can be really tough, and it was the same thing with the arcade version. You know, what I like to do is actually have a maxed out spread shot, because I don't have to do as much work. The spread shot in this version is actually, I think, more powerful than it is in the arcade version. And what I do is I'm just constantly mashing the spread shot button or the attack button when I have the spread shot. Because I don't have to focus as much on the screen. It's automatically destroying all the little helicopters and little tanks and stuff that come from the tops and sides of the screen, because it covers a wide area of the screen. So if you're using, say, the blue shot, which I don't really recommend unless maybe you're at a boss fight or something like that, you know, you've got to worry about a lot more when you use the blue shot. And if you're going for points and if you're going for survival, maybe that's not the best thing to do. You might as well take the easier route. I know some people will say, well, there's no glory in taking the easier route. Well, yeah, there is when you get a massive high score that no one else has gotten. So, you know, to me, it's just a part of the game. For instance, you know, it's easier to survive with the red shot. Use the red shot. You know, if moving your screen away or moving enemies off the screen as a tactic to survive, then use it. Someone on Atari Age actually did mention, or they threw out the idea that, isn't, hugging one side of the screen kind of like turtling in a fighting game? And I was like, I got the impression that was kind of, he was implying it as a bad thing, but I responded with, well, yeah, but it's okay if it's a winning strategy. And in terms of things like fighting games, anything is open game in a fighting game, and your opponent has to be able to get over that. They have to be, if they don't, then they've got some improving to do. So, in this game, though, I guess the analogy was basically anything's fair game, and when you're going for score and when you're going for survival, anything's fair game as well, provided you're not using cheats. You're just using what was built into the game to your advantage. Okay, we're not really cheating here. We're not taking advantage of bugs and glitches. It was how the game was designed, really. So use it to your advantage. And when you die at a later stage like this, trust me, it can be extremely difficult and extremely frustrating to get back on your game and get your firepower built up. And the thing is, when you die at these last few stages, you might have 6 lives, but you might end up gaming over before the stage is over. That's how it works. So take advantage of how the system works, how the game works. Just take advantage of it in order to survive. There's nothing like getting to the last level in the game and having a perfect run up to that point and then dying, losing all your lives, so you want to keep going, play by the survival rules. So, and again, I don't recommend using the blue shot, at least not for the stages. Someone did mention on the Atari Age forums that maybe it's a good idea to switch up, say when you get to a boss, and that's doable too, because usually power-ups are given to you right at the very beginning of the next stage, so you could theoretically switch back. But for me, it's just easier to use the red shot because, for one, I don't actually have to get in front of the boss. Notice how I'm still hitting the boss and I'm all the way in the left-hand corner of the screen. So it makes dodging easier. There's less bullets coming out at me because half the boss is off the screen. Things like that. If I'm using the blue shot, you have to be in the boss's line of fire the entire time, basically. And yeah, that's not good. So that's why I recommend just sticking with the red shot, getting it and sticking with it. Also, when you keep grabbing the same firepower power-up after your I'm sorry, I'm starting to stutter. It's that point in the video where I've been talking so much I start to stutter. When you're fully maxed out and you grab power-ups, you get 5,000 points per one, provided you don't switch your weapon. Okay, so I also try to use that to my advantage. I'm getting thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of points just by picking up, power-ups in this game. That goes for just the red power-ups because I'm already fully maxed, and it also goes for my homing missiles. And as you can see, I prefer homing missiles because if there's an enemy you missed, kind of like a straggler comes in, the homing missiles will usually hit them. So where it's maybe not beneficial for you to try to say there's a tank that appears in the right-hand side of the screen or bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and you're already up at the upper left-hand corner, maybe the missiles will hit it, and you still get those points without having to position yourself all the way to the other side of the screen. So yeah, guys, this is the final boss right here. I have 9 lives now. You'll notice what I did is I pushed the boss completely off the screen. He's got a very, very tricky firing pattern when you get him down to his core like that. He's got that yellow shot that is very sporadic. It goes all over the place. And so what I like to do is just push him off the side of the screen until he switches up to that that other shot where he shoots in all directions, but it's in angles. So he goes down or down right or completely 90 degrees to the right. He does it in exact positions like that. So you can actually position yourself to where you won't get hit by his firepower, but you're still able to hit him. So That's what I like to do in that final boss. And so that, guys, was my full run of Raiden, or Raiden, for the Atari Jaguar. I don't think I'm going to really comment much on the rest of the game. This was about 35 minutes right here. What I'm going to do is actually go ahead and chop this up and start exporting this thing, and you know, getting it together so you guys can watch it. But one thing I would like to note before I leave is that when you finish the game, it'll start you off from the very beginning. The bullets come out much faster. The difficulty basically increases, and this happens. I'm not sure how many loops this continues to happen, but I know that the farthest I've gotten in the past was to the 3rd loop, and the bullets still continue to increase in speed. So basically, 2nd loop is harder, 3rd loop is even more difficult. I'm not sure if it cranks up farther than that, but I don't know if I'm ever going to find out, or if I'm going to ever even feel like finding out, because it's a lot of time spent playing the game. But yeah, one thing that's really interesting about it, though, is the bullets do speed up. However, I'll just keep talking to the first boss. Even though the bullets are faster, they come out at you faster, I believe they still come out at the same rate. So, for instance, the bullets were slow on the first loop, but the boss might shoot out bullets in a pattern like this, dot 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 dot. The bullets literally come out at that rate. But in this version, the bullets are faster, but they still come out at dot 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 dot. So with the bullets being faster, there's actually a wider gap between bullets, and in some cases it's actually easier to dodge in the 2nd loop. Now the problem is, some enemies are a little more aggressive. They shoot a little bit more often, like the tanks and the helicopters. They shoot more frequently. Still not very much compared to the arcade game, which makes portions of this game a little bit easier than the arcade version. But you know, you do have to be on your toes a little bit more. So notice how his shots are more spread out between one another, and it really makes certain, you know, boss fights a little bit easier, because you have, you know, you have to think a little bit quicker, but you also have more room to actually get through the bullets, which is one of the problems on the first loop in the Jaguar version of Raiden, is that sometimes the bullets are so close together, it's best to just try to get completely around them and not go through them. So in the arcade game stresses going through the bullets, finding the gaps and going through them. In this version, on the first loop especially, you want to focus on going completely around the bullets, because they're so close together, it's really difficult to dodge, especially when you combine that ship inertia. So anyways, guys, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and roll out. Again, I get completely demolished on this loop, and it really starts at the end of the the end of the 2nd level. I run straight into the boss as he's blowing up. I didn't even think much of it when it happened. I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna fly right through him, no big deal, right? And nope, ended up dying. And then from there, it was just straight downhill, trying to survive. And then on some of the later stages, I play really stupid too, like when I should have used my bombs on, say, a boss, or, you know, I should have stayed to the back of the screen. You know, yeah, I was just playing stupid at certain points, and you'll see that through the rest of the video. So for those of you guys that are into the Jaguar and you like games like Raiden for the Jaguar, you know, stop by the Atari Age High Score Club for the Atari Jaguar. Just go over to the AtariAge.com, go to the Jaguar section and click on the High Score Club. You can talk to me over there, and you can also see other people's scores. And we basically have set seasons where we'll have about 12 games per season. And Raiden just ended, but if you think you can better my score, you can still submit a score in the old high score competition thread. So feel free to sign up if you're into the Jaguar and into playing for score as well. This next game we're going to be playing is Zool 2, which is another platformer that I like on the Jaguar, and it's a fun action game that I don't think a lot of people have seen to the end, so I actually look forward to doing a long play on that one as well, because I can finish it. So you'll definitely be seeing a Zool 2 long play in the very near future as well. So anyways, guys, until next time, take care, and Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, all that jazz, and for all you guys over at implantgames.com, you know, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Let's Beat. So, alright guys, take it easy. See you next time.